That's one of the bravest guys I ever knew. And, I lost that guy. But while I had him, we did some good things, man. We helped a lot. We were good at what we did. I miss that. My best friend, Captain Terry Hatton, now the captain of Rescue 1, the Manhattan Elite, right, in the spotlight. And he was put there not just because of all of the medals of bravery he had been awarded, but Terry was really smart, and he was by the book. And the leadership of the New York City Fire Department was trying to mold him and put him on a path to be the chief of the entire New York City Fire Department. That was what they were hoping to do with him, to mentor him to become that guy. And they trusted him in that position, very high profile. And they trusted that he would run a very excellent rescue company in the heart of Times Square. So I run to my best friend. He was 6'4". With his boots and helmets on, he was 6'7", 6'8". So I could see him over the top of all the other bumblebees. And I ran to him, and I wrapped my arms kind of around his chest. And he came down over the top of me like a monster, like a huge guy. And he just overwhelmed me, and I got lost in his hug. And he pulled me tight to his chest, and he kissed me right here on my right cheek. And he said in my ear, for me only, he said, "I love you, brother. I may never see you again." And I blew him off. I didn't take those words seriously because we had done all these things together. Bad fires, building collapses, Oklahoma City, the first World Trade Center, just we had challenged fate and challenged death so many times together. And we were really good at what we did. And we came out pretty much unscathed. And so that's where my head was. But remember, I said he's the smart one. He had come down the West Side Highway with his binoculars sitting in the front seat, counting the number of floors on fire, knowing that this was a much bigger disaster than even I realized. He knew it already. And he knew going in that stairwell might be one of the last acts of his life. And after he said, "I love you, brother, I may never see you again," he turned around, he went in the stairwell, and with his men, and they went up. And he made it up to the 83rd floor, we believe, with his men, where they were fighting the fire, saving lives, when an interior early collapse occurred and trapped them. And Terry was yelling for help in the radio, the worst thing a fireman could ever say or hear. "Mayday, mayday, mayday, Rescue 1 is trapped," in the 80s. "Mayday, mayday, mayday, Rescue 1 is trapped." So now you have the rescue company, who are the guys who are supposed to rescue the trapped firemen. Now they are trapped themselves. I obviously did not hear him say this. I did not hear my best friend call for help, or I would have been up the stairs myself, and I would have joined him in his heroism. But other guys heard him yelling for help on the radio, and they later told me. So that's how I know the story. The one fire was actually, I was in ladder 4 in Times Square. I guess it was like 90, somewhere in there, 1990. And my best friend, Terry Hatton, was my lieutenant. And we had a daytime fire just below Times Square. And it was rubbish in an alleyway between two old law tenements. So they're older brick and wood joist buildings. And the rubbish in this shaft was just roaring. So the fire got into both buildings very quickly. And there were people out the windows. It was just a bad daytime fire. And Terry, lieutenant at the time, Hatton, and I wound up on the hose line in the top floor of one of these old law tenements, and the chief is screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." And I wound up on the nozzle, and Terry knew, I was a very good nozzleman, South Bronx nozzleman, and so he didn't give me the nozzle. We found the nozzle and picked it up, and he just put his shoulder in my back, and you could see it's like a movie, right? The fire was blowing out of the peephole that you look out of your apartment. The fire was a jet, and you could see the frame of the door. You could see the fire, the orange glow. So it's around the edges of the door. So as soon as you can get that door open, that fire's on top of you. Yeah. And so we go in there, and it was the layout of the apartment was difficult. It had extremely heavy fire. But I had in my back, with his shoulder, Lieutenant Terry Hatton, my best friend, one of the toughest firemen of our generation, medals and medals and medals. And we had confidence and faith in each other, in our abilities, in our training, in our experience. And I had been wearing the fireproof pants called bunker pants, but they weren't standard issue yet. And I'm going through this hallway, putting out rooms of fire, and our feet are actually going through the floor because the floor was burned through. And the fire was coming up underneath us from the floor below. And I finally ran out of air in my mask, in my air pack. And so Terry comes up, he's behind me, but he takes the nozzle. He goes another room, he puts out another room of fire. And then he goes to the front window, and he slams the nozzle on the front window, and there's the chief right there. And he takes his mask out, and he yells to the chief, "We got it, chief." It's a point of pride, right? Nobody else could do it. We did it. Really, he did it. And we get down in the street afterwards, and he gives me a high five. He's like, "Great job, brother. Great job. That was awesome." And I look at him, and he's not wearing the fireproof pants. All he has is his rubber boots on that only come up above your knee. And the part between your waist and your knees is a pretty important part
I'd say
of
so, yeah.
your body, right? And that guy went through that fire with me, basically exposed. And my jaw went on the floor. I was like, holy crap. That's one of the bravest guys I ever knew. And I lost that guy. But while I had him, we did some good things, man. We helped a lot. We were good at what we did. And I miss that.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. If you got anything out of this video at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought of the video, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I really appreciate the support. It goes a long way on these platforms, as you guys know. Most importantly, I have some excellent interviews coming up in the future that I'm really, really excited about. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But that's it. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon.